Hi, everyone. I am Mahin Maliksi, and I'm the SMT Algebra 1 and Geometry teacher here at Skyview High School. This will be my 13th year here teaching at Skyview. I also coach the math team, and some of you might have seen me from the math to school competitions since we run the competitions for 4th grade up. So some of your kids might have seen me and have hung around here at Skyview before.
And hello, my name is Austin Ebert. I am going to be next year will be my 5th year teaching math at Skyview. My 4th year as part of the SMT program. I'm also one of the assistant coaches for the Skyview robotics team, and I'm also the advisor for the National Honor Society at Skyview High School.
Yeah, one of the givens for any SMT teacher is that we pretty much live at Skyview and we're involved in lots of activities outside of our classroom. So hopefully we'll have our kids in some of our clubs and outside extracurriculum activities. Okay, so I tend to have most of your students first. I have them for Algebra 1 and Geometry. Since I tend to have the freshman and sophomore, they have the option of either being in the regular level class or honors. They're still in the class together with all the other SMT students. But the only difference is that if your students might struggle or struggle a little bit more in math, they may want to be in the regular section so that they're exposed to the higher level curriculum, but they're not held to taking assessments that are so difficult. So their assessments are at different levels. My honors kids do tests that are more comprehensive and complex, and my regular section kids do tests that don't incorporate too much outside standards and tend to focus more on what we're learning together.
And go ahead, sorry.
No, go ahead.
All right. By the time students reach me, they will be taking Algebra 2 or pre-calculus with me. If they remain in the SMT program, they will be placed in an honors. Basically, I only teach honors Algebra 2 and honors pre-calculus. Being a science, math, and technology magnet program, by the time you reach that higher level, we're kind of placing everybody in the honors program. And what that means is that my classes will go over more material at a quicker pace than the other Algebra 2 and pre-calc classes. I often have extra time where I'm able to slip in some lessons about some financial algebra, and oftentimes we'll just kind of go into more depth with the content. And since many of my students end up going into AP Calculus or AP Statistics, I make sure to spend a lot of time going over introductory principles for those classes as well.
And in the lower levels in Algebra 1 and Geometry, we do also go slightly faster than all the other classes, since we are at an honors level class or just below an honors level for my Algebra 1 students. And we also focus more about the grade level curriculum. So if your kids are coming in a little bit behind, in class, we'll do grade level curriculum. And then I'm available all the time before school and after school to help them if they need help with like skills they should have learned and mastered in middle school prior to getting to me. So I will be there to help them with their remediation skills, but they'll probably be done more on the outside class time instead of in the middle of class where the whole class has to do basic review together.
Yeah, and that's about the same for me as well. There will be some skills that are like really necessary throughout the entire year. Those might be some things that we will spend a little bit of time at the beginning of the year, but really, I mean, we dive in and we try to get started on the material as quick as we can so that we can get through it, and so that we can have the time to be able to do some of the projects that we like to do and to do some of the kind of the more in-depth stuff.
Yeah. So in both our classes and throughout the SMT program, we try to focus more on the skills in the upper level tiers of Bloom's taxonomy to create, analyze, and apply. And you'll notice that in a lot of the regular classes outside the SMT program, they might prioritize recalling and understanding and lower level skills. So we try to encourage them to learn how to apply the concept that we're learning in context outside of just our classrooms.
That was really well put, Mine, and I don't have much to add on there.
Okay. When it comes to grading, assessments are a big part of our grade, but since I tend to have them in the lower levels, I give them the opportunity to recover any credit up until the end of the semester. So if your students might start off slow and have like lower grades because they're taking a while to catch up, or they're coming in at different skill levels since all the students are coming in from different schools, they have time to recover. So for me, they could turn in any late work and do any quiz retakes and test retakes until the end semester for full credit. So every kid has the opportunity for A or B up until the end semester for me.
And that's a similar process that I have. Tests are one of those things that my students will be allowed to retake those, but I usually have a cutoff date. So about 2 weeks after a test, I'll say, okay, at this point in time, I'm not offering retakes, but all of my students are allowed to retake a test that they don't do well on. They can get up to 100% on those. I accept, and similar with late work, I'll accept late work up to a specific date. So it's not quite as forgiving as Miss Malixi's, but we still prioritize mastery over the skills over anything else.
Okay. So one of the things that's different in the SMT classes, we do incorporate more of the T in our math classes, which is the technology and the applications part. So in Algebra 1 and Geometry, I do start teaching my kids how to use graphing calculators, TI-84s and TI Inspires. And I also introduced them to Desmos, which is the free online graphing calculator that they could use with the Agile Mind curriculum or any website or app. And I try to encourage them to learn how to use the skills to help them support maybe misunderstandings or concept that they didn't understand in previous grades. So like, let's say your kids struggled in fractions. I showed them how to do fractions on the calculators so that their lack of fraction skills doesn't stop them from being successful in Algebra 1 and in Geometry.
Yeah, and I do honestly very much the same stuff. I assign every single one of my students a TI-84. They're labeled. They don't get to take them home, but they do get to use them every time they come into class. So they don't necessarily need a calculator of their own. They always have one when they come into class. We use Desmos, just as Mahan mentioned, we use Desmos quite frequently. And sometimes we use certain programs for very specific things. So when I go over finances, I'll often bring in Google Sheets because sometimes when we do iterative processes for creating spreadsheets, it's helpful to actually generate some formulas and kind of do the click and drag that you can see in Microsoft Excel or in Google Sheets as well. So we try to bring in that technology so that students have a little bit of understanding of it as they progress. And so hopefully, if they are intent on going to college, they have some of those technological aspects that are looked for in the workplace.
Okay. Another thing that we use, just like Austin, I try to encourage kids to learn how to analyze data since they do that in their math and science classes a lot. For me, they'll do regressions and data analysis on their calculators using the regression tools. And they'll also learn, especially in geometry, how to use some of the geometry software to start drawing 2D and 3D shapes on a computer so that they're not drawing everything by hand. Austin, is there anything else you want to talk about?
No, I mean, the only other thing that I could say is that, the last thing that we try to do as math teachers is we try to incorporate other subjects as much as we can. I try to, like I said, I try to bring in finances, but I also try to include things like chemistry and geology in my classrooms as much as I can. Sometimes there's as simple as just those are the types of problems that we're going over, but sometimes we do projects, and I know that, Mahan, you do a lot of projects in your class too. So
yeah, and in my geometry class, if you ever walk in, it's arty. We do a lot of geometric arts so that they could practice a lot of their hand-eye coordination and actually learn how to build um, things, even if they aren't in engineering classes yet.
Yep, and I think that is it. So if you're watching this video, thank you so much for tuning in, and we hope that you choose the SMT program.
Okay. Bye, everyone.